My name is Randy Pitchford, and I am the founder of the Gearbox Entertainment Company, and we created Borderlands 4. Well, one of the fun things about finishing a Borderlands game is we become expert at making Borderlands. So it lets us, when we're building all of our post-launch content, our downloadable content, all of our add-on content, we're really good at making the game, and this is where we can really have fun and let all of the skills we've built over our development cycle shine. One of the things that we committed to with Borderlands 4 was not just adding story content and gameplay, but also adding new player characters. And we haven't done this since Borderlands, the pre-sequel, years and years and years ago. So we're going to add playable characters to the game, and the first one is a character named Cash, who I teased him just a silhouette back in Seattle not too long ago at the Penny Arcade Expo. And I think you are the first journalist that I'm talking to about this character. So we're very excited to introduce Cash. Cash is a robot, and it used to be a dealer in a casino, robot dealer. And so the brain of this robot is programmed to think about probabilities and chance. And that is a deep part of the gameplay when you become this robot in Borderlands 4. Some of the outcomes of the skills that you'll use will have some chance to it. Will have some random elements, like the turn of a playing card or the roll of a dice will affect what happens, both offensively and defensively. And this could lead to some pretty extreme cases, because as you know, when you roll the dice, you can get really lucky. You can get a really high number, or you can roll and get a really low number. And so in those cases where you get the most extreme best luck, you will be extremely powerful. And it feels pretty good to have that. I like the randomization of it. The other thing too that I like about the character is it's kind of skilled with playing cards. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm a magician.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I was a professional magician before I even became a professional video game designer. So the robo-dealer, Cash, he can manipulate cards. And I have skills with cards, so you can see me, cut the cards with one hand, or do split fans. So as we were developing the character, it was pretty fun for me to be able to shoot video of myself manipulating the cards and using that for the animations for first person. Like, for example, he can throw a card, right? So I can show you how I can conceal a card here. So I'm concealing the card. I have a card hidden in my hand, and I'm concealing it. And you think I'm holding it with my thumb, and I can transfer it. Well, let's get another one. I can transfer. And so from the first person perspective, you'll see what the character sees, and then whenever you want, you can throw the card. Let's get a really good throw here. I'm gonna have to retrieve these later. And Cash can throw the cards. So yeah, it's pretty fun to do. The gameplay with the character, of course, it's a player character, so he's gonna have a whole suite of skills, a whole suite of different abilities. And what's fun about Borderlands 4 is that it's a very replayable game because of the role-playing game and because of the loot. And I think one of the new elements that we get to add with added characters is another angle of replayability. I can complete the game, build out the skill of one character, and then try a whole new character, and it becomes a completely different game. So by adding a new character, it's almost like you get an entirely new, complete Borderlands 4 to play over again in an entirely new way. So we love doing it. We love creating new characters, and we love offering the new gameplay that we get to do with it. Well, we definitely aimed for that. We always want to try hard. One of the advantages we have is we've made a bunch of Borderlands games now, and we've tried things. We've tried a bunch of different things. So we have a sense now of what's too far and what's not far enough. And I think that gave us some advantages to help make Borderlands 4 the best of the series. But it's so gratifying having launched the game to see. We see the data, we see the telemetry, we can see what people are playing, and to discover that there's more people engaged with Borderlands 4, like the number of people that go from their first play session to the second to their third and keep playing after hours and hours of play. We have the highest rate of engagement that we've ever had before in any Borderlands game. And I think that's the biggest evidence we can have that we succeeded, that this game is really, really fun and that the people who are playing it are loving it and wanting to spend more time with it. And that's very, very gratifying as a creator. We love making entertainment. Our entire mission is to create joy and happiness and create fun for the people that find our games. And to see it in the data that it looks like we've done it better than we've ever done it before, it's very, very heartwarming. And it motivates us. So the work you see coming from us as we keep going, because we're not done. We're just getting started. We have so much more to add to Borderlands. And you're gonna see that because people love what we've been giving them, we're motivated and we're passionate and we're putting even more of ourselves into what's coming next. Yeah, wow. Game development is challenging, and I think there's always lessons. And one of the things that I've experienced in my career is that when we fail, we tend to learn a lot because we think, oh, everything went wrong, and we look at everything. When we succeed, sometimes we don't learn as much because even the bad things, because it worked out, so everything contributed to that. But we've been making games for a while. Gearbox has been around for decades, and we're very disciplined and very focused on our work and our craft. So one of the fun things about finishing a game is then we can look at it objectively, and we can go through a process where we analyze and discover everything that went right and everything that went wrong, so that even from our victories we can learn as many lessons as possible. We're in that process right now, actually, and we're learning a lot. There's some lessons about process and about software engineering that are really, really valuable and important to us that will affect all of our future work and all of our future games. But there's also a lot of reminder about why we do this. And the thing that I think is most inspiring is when people are having a great time and we can feel and see that. Sometimes they tell us, sometimes we can see it in the data. That's literally the only reason why we exist. And so all the lessons from that feedback tend to come to us and motivate us to do even more and do better next time. Oh, you like what the ratios are?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
Interesting, and it shifts a lot. I don't know if this is a surprise to anyone, but Vex, our Siren, is our most popular character right now. But what's interesting is we're seeing, like, at the beginning, Rafa wasn't as popular, and then we're seeing a surge in Rafa. We're actually undergoing a campaign as we speak to encourage players to try the different characters and to reward the community with custom skins and cosmetics for each of the characters as we go through these phases. So I think there's a goal there to kind of see and watch how that shifts over time. But what's interesting is what I've noticed is a lot of people start by choosing a character based on their feeling and like their emotional relationship to the identity of the character. But then as they get really into the gameplay, they start exploring and making choices based on what the capability of the character is, or what the game mechanics specifically speak to from the kind of game they like to play. And because each of the characters has wildly different skills and game mechanics, it's like playing a completely different game when you choose a different character. It's kind of fun to watch players kind of go from being more identity and emotionally driven to being like capability and performance driven as they go. And we see shifts in which characters are the most popular depending on how many characters people have played and how long they've been playing the game.
Okay, so you are saying that it shifts, like maybe this week it's going to be Rex, this next week it's going to be someone else.
Maybe. I don't know if it swings that wildly, but we notice for individual players, their preferences will tend to migrate the more they spend time playing. But it's pretty close. It's like the lowest. The difference between the lowest and the highest isn't like, it's not like one character half the people are playing. There's no character that's achieved 50%, right? And that also is rewarding when we have a relatively close balance between the most to least played character. it tends to tell us that, yeah, we're speaking to different people with these characters. And we've kind of found different audiences that have different emotional or identity related decisions to make with who they're going to choose to play. And I think that's gratifying. I think that's kind of evidence that maybe we didn't do a bad job at that. But yeah, Vex is the highest right now. Rafa is the lowest, but Rafa I think is taking off. So we'll see. I think Rafa is going to climb. Yeah, Graham Timmons, our creative director, takes balance very seriously, and one of the ththat he and I talk a lot about over the years. We've been working on Borderlands games together for over 20 years, and we talk a lot about the player's relationship with their gear that they find and their builds that they make, and how it's okay to become very powerful. In fact, that's kind of what the fun is. We want players to become gods and feel like gods and become legends in the game. And it's not cool to just knock them down. As designers, though, the reason why in the past sometimes we nerf things is because there's a part of us that's like, oh, we know we created this other thing that's really cool over here and we want people to notice it, but because it's weak compared to this, they won't. Well, the problem isn't to make the strong thing weaker. We need to make the weak thing stronger. And that's where the buffs come from. And by buffing some things, we can encourage folks to try things that they weren't trying when they were weaker. The other thing too that is kind of a fun tool that we have in the tool shed is we don't just have the ability to buff the players and the gear or a skill. We can also buff the enemies. So if we feel is getting melted too fast by a particular weapon or a particular type, we can buff that enemy, and maybe that's another avenue to encourage people to try different builds and different weapons in different contexts. And what's cool about that is, let's say you buff a boss, but you only buffed one boss, and let's say you buffed a boss to maybe be a little stronger against shock because the boss was weak against shock in the past. That doesn't change any of the rest of the game. So if I have a build which makes me very, very strong with shock, and I can just melt a whole bunch of enemies over here, I can still feel that godlike power, even though there might be that one boss now that might be a little challenging for me. I got to get a different gun for this boss, and that makes it fun. Now I'm back in the lead chase again, and we love that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good direction.
Thank you. Well, fundamentally, Gearbox makes interactive entertainment. We love making video games. And every once in a while, there are folks in other mediums that find what we've done and like it. And sometimes they're credible and they're good and they want to do something with our IP. And so occasionally we'll let that happen. And so you get things like comic books and movies, and there's even a cookbook. There's a Borderlands cookbook. I never would have dreamed up that in a million years, but some people wanted to make a cookbook and they made it, and we let them. And because they had a cool idea, and I think that's the kind of world I want to live in, Same with the movie. I could take the attitude of just blocking all of that kind of work and not letting any of it happen, because there's always a risk whenever somebody makes something that maybe it's not for me. Maybe I don't like it, but somebody might. And I'd rather live in a world where more things can exist that give us choices than less. And if I took that approach with Borderlands to just not let anybody credible and good at what they do even try, I think we're just denying the world of some possible options for awesome things to happen. And I want that. I want those awesome things to happen. So I tend to take the attitude that if someone is good at a thing, like let's say here's a company that makes music, or a person that makes music, like the collaboration recently with Zane, like how amazing is that, right? Or a company that makes movies, like with Lionsgate, and a director like Eli Roth, like brilliant. The talent the cast is just incredible. Like I don't know what the result's going to be, but should my attitude be to deny them the attempt to even try, or should we work something out so that something could exist? And when it does exist, if it's great, it adds something. And you know what? Everything that's been created, everything I've ever been involved in, there's people that love it, there's people that hate it, and there's people that are indifferent. So let's just have more stuff. Let's have more stuff so that there's more chances for people that do love something to find it. You know what? Yeah, I do, because we've been working on Borderlands 4 for 6 years, and it's a significant commitment of time and energy and resources. And you know, it's a non-trivial part of my life. Right now, it represents 20% of my entire career was invested in this one video game. And I've been making games for a long time. And it's pretty sobering to think about that amount of commitment and that amount of time. And what we aimed to do was do right by people that love past Borderlands games, but also to create something that doesn't require any past knowledge, to invite everyone who's never played a Borderlands game before to come in and see what all the hubbub's about, see why it's fun and great. And I think we succeeded at that. And it's kind of humbling, you know, to spend that much time on a thing and then be on the other side of it. Wow, look at all these new players that are discovering Borderlands that have never played it before and are having a great time. And so the last thing I want to say is thank you for letting us do this, for giving us the opportunity to attempt to create joy and entertainment and happiness for you, and to try to surprise and delight you. And thank you for spending the time to care about what we're doing and where it may lead us, because we only exist for you. We only exist to try to create entertainment for you. So thank you.